Yeah, pumped for our players. I thought it was a really good week for us. Winning on the road like that is not easy. Certainly Georgia State first, and then those are two games we lost on the road last year, at App State and at Georgia State. So I was really impressed with our level of focus on Saturday down at App State. I thought we played really well and really connected, and I was pleased with that. It's nice to be where we are, but we still got plenty of work to do. And so my little stat of the day is every time Georgia State has played a team for the second time, they've won, right? So they lose to Georgia Southern at home by 25, and then come back and beat Georgia Southern at Georgia Southern by 5. So I do not sleep on Georgia State. That's a fact.
Yeah, so listen to Neil talk to Corey the other day after the game, and he talked a little bit about how obviously you guys clinch the regular season title and have that, but the fact that you do have that undefeated season to play for, everything, like how much has that kind of helped as far as like maybe avoiding any kind of letdown for these next game or two?
Yeah, I mean, obviously avoiding the letdown is something that's certainly on my mind. I don't know, right? You could go through a couple things of what could get you motivated if you're a player, right? It could be undefeated. That doesn't obviously get me, right? It could be the net, right, and trying to play in for that at large, right? But it could just be like, and what I hope it is, what I hope this team is learning is that, like, no, we're trying to get better. We're trying to get our momentum moving as forward as we can so we can go win now 2 games down in Pensacola, right? And so I don't think you do that by taking a step backwards, right? I don't think you do that by not preparing or not being as focused or not being as ready to play, right? I think that to me, and of course I'm a coach, right? But that to me is what our focus should be, right? Look, you can look at all this stuff. We're going to look at the standings. We're going to look at the net probably. We're going to look at maybe a bracketology. Put that info in your head. That's cool. But, like, when it comes time to play Georgia State, you're not thinking about any of that, right? You're thinking about getting a hand up on Addy, and you're getting how you're going to guard Tollivert, and what did they do, and why did they have the lead on us in the fourth quarter at one point in time, right? So that, to your point, I don't know. Maybe that gets one of them. Maybe that gets Jamia, right? Maybe that's her motivation. It doesn't really matter. Like, we got to come to play and finish, really not because we're chasing some historical thing. That's not. I don't believe that's what we're here trying to do. For me, it's we got to keep. That was the App State was a good step forward for me. That was good positive momentum going into the tournament, and that's what this week should be for us. Sorry.
In terms of positive momentum too, like, early in the season, Susha had a lot of shots that just, weren't falling. And, it's kind of all along, it was like, well, once they start falling, we're going to see something from her. Like, to have her kind of have the games that she's had here recently at this point in the season, and talk about peaking in February or whatever, like, is that just how much does that mean to you guys going forward as you get closer to the tournament?
Yeah, it's a must. Having a post presence, and if anybody that watched App State, we played out of the post quite a bit, right? And whether it was Susha, Peyton, we put Angela down there a little bit, we put Ashanti down there a little bit, but it was really Susha and Peyton. Having a post presence that if you guard one-on-one is a 70% chance you're going to score is just incredible advantage, right? And so App State chose that they had to double, Anna too, my bad. But they had to double quite a bit. And so now we're kicking it out. Bree gets 3 of her threes because of that, right? And so that, to your point, is a huge thing for momentum, is having Susha. Obviously, Peyton's had a stretch where she's been very consistent. But, I want all Pistons, right? I want everything. I want Roe playing her best. I want Ashanti playing her best. And Ashanti got like the quietest great 9 rebounds I've ever seen, right? And I know she only made 1 basket, but even that, she's opening up more things for us. Ashanti Barnes is, because of the tear she has against some people's zones at the high post, right? But right, a post presence is something that not a lot of people have, and I think Susha's obviously Wednesday game. I'm trying to put the days of the week together. Sorry, bear with me on that one. Wednesday game, 19 and 15 is awesome, and I think puts a little bit of the league on notice of, oh, she can do that too, right? I think it was 7 offensive rebounds in that game. So yeah, I think helping our momentum, Susha's a big part of what we do, and a huge weapon for us.
What's it mean to win the conference championship here in the regular season? It's so hard to do. People can get hot and win the tournament, but to win the regular season championship is pretty special.
Yeah, I'll shout out Ian. Ian used to always be like, it's way harder than winning the conference tournament, which I disagree with. But there is something to it, right? And it's I am proud of that work, because that's a constant focus, effort, consistency, like all those things factor into actually winning a regular season. But yeah, like my overall attitude is like, no, it doesn't get us in the tournament, right? And I hate doing that to the regular season championship, because it is worth a trophy. It is worth a banner, right? Like that's a hard thing to do, especially with 2 games to go, winning it outright. Yeah, it's extremely impressive. And that's why I'm very excited for our players to celebrate that, because you don't get to celebrate, right? And I was saying this to Corey after the game. It's like when we've been lucky enough to win, however, 17 in a row, right? Yeah, there's 5 or 6 of those wins where you're not excited, right? And you win this game by 7, and I'm not as happy because we didn't play as well, right? And like this, at least you get to like have a celebration and feel good and smile, and we conquered something, right? And winning it outright, this group has never done, right? And so I do think there's a lot to that. Neil wants us to have a whole party about it. It's like, no, it's great. It's a wonderful accomplishment. Absolutely wonderful. But yeah, like I want to play an NCAA tournament. So what's going to prepare us the most to get to that point in time is my sole focus.
Talk a little bit more about Georgia State. Obviously, you just saw them, but they had beaten you 3 consecutive times. You mentioned last week it's a tough matchup. Why is it a tough matchup with Georgia State? Yeah,
I think they're a good team, and I know their results are very yo-yoed, and they go very up and down. That's why they're 500. They're 14-14. It's just a tough. Their pressure, their ball pressure is really good from their guards. Their guards are very good at going downhill and creating shots. They've got a lot of versatility. Obviously, we destroyed them on the glass. I'm sure they'll be better with that, right? And we can't assume we're going to go in there and out rebound somebody by 25. But it's just a prickly matchup for us. And so they sit in a zone, a very good matchup zone, and just throws off your rhythm. And so what I was explaining after the game is that it's also really hard to get in a rhythm setting our team up offensively, because I do like to run when we get a miss, rebound, turnover. I like to run, and I'm not slowing them down to call a play in that sense. In addition to that, whenever they make a shot or a dead ball, they're going to press us. So it ends up being press break into transition, right? And so I'm constantly trying to find the balance of, when do I slow them up, right? When do I let them go? Like Zakiya, it looks like she has something right here. Let her go drive and kick, okay? Or is it like, okay, it doesn't look like we have anything. Hold up, slow down. Now it's at 18. Now P's in the wrong side to run this play. Oh, all right, let's run it. And that's why I think a little bit of it is. It just, the way they play throw off our rhythm a little bit. I think we're 1,000 times better defensively this year than last. And with their little guards, I thought we struggled to guard them last year. And that's not a shot at Carol Heaven. They're bigger bodies, right? Carol's 6 foot, Heaven 6'1". I think Bree and Z have really helped us in that sense, where we can put Bree Robinson on, Crystal Henderson, and Crystal played well, 17 against us. But again, I think we're better defensively, which overall helps us. It's a tough matchup, though.
You mentioned using this kind of last week of the regular season. You still feel like you guys can get better. Where are those areas where you do feel like you can get better and improve?
Yeah, we're not totally firing, right, on all fronts here. And I'll use Ashanti because I know she can handle it. But like, right, she's had games with 25 points before, right, and she has one basket against App, and she's not like got her hand out looking for shots. She's not none of that stuff. It's just I want her to have 15 and 10. I want P to have 20 and 12. I know it's not going to happen, Kurt, okay? But, like, I want Susha to have 20 and 15. I want Roe to have 30, right? Like, and I know, but let's get as close as we can to that. And how do we get there, right? It's really offensively, we got to continue to share the ball, trust each other. And I think you'll be tested to do that forever. And I think Georgia State's a great game for it, right? Because I do think there's teams in this league that you're going to have to be ready to play in a press break, right? Arkansas State presses a lot. They're in top 4 in the standings. Georgia State presses a lot. Coastal will press you a lot. I think Troy would. Yeah, I think Georgia State's a great game leading up to this, knowing that, like, hey, I can't script everything, right? And use Peyton as an example. Peyton loves order, right? She loves order. She loves knowing where she's going to be, what she's going to do. And it's like, yeah, this Georgia State game won't be a whole lot of order. So I think we can gain a lot from that. I can't look ahead to Monroe enough to know anything. But, yeah, I think for this particular matchup, yeah, I think we can. I think our consistency on the glass can always get better. I think we've gone up and down with that. I think defensively too. I think it's just a constant challenge. You got to show up and really, really want to dig in and guard. And when we do, we're really good. We're really good. But proving that consistency over time, I think you have 2 more opportunities to do that. And then you have a week of practice to also keep yourself sharp before you go down there too. So there's a lot of things, but it's never going to stray away from our core, which is defend, rebound, and then we got to play very unselfish and together on the offensive end.
This one's a little bit more of a tangent, but I just couldn't help but notice yesterday NC State and Notre Dame playing each other, and those are 2 teams you played earlier in the year. I'm curious, how much did you pay attention to that game or catch highlights or just is that even anything on your radar considering those 2 games were so long ago?
I popped it on. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Watched it with my family. My son and daughter, we were all reacting to Citron's shot to put it into overtime. And it's funny, they both asked me at different times, like, does this help us or hurt us? Who do we want to win? I said, it doesn't matter, man. Like, just enjoy. And so, yeah, it was cool, but it's not, it's funny how much you put a schedule together. You don't always know what's going to happen, right? And you don't know how good a team is going to end up being at the end of the year. And I think it's cool to watch at least the 3 super high majors that we played. NC State, I would assume, would be in the top 10 today with Texas and Notre Dame. So I think it's a neat thing. And I think for our team, for those to be 3 of our 4 losses, got to give you a little bit of a boost of confidence.
As you get down to these last couple games, can you just reflect on Peyton's performance this season and how she helped get you guys to where you are, and just also everybody in general, how they helped to get you guys to where you are? Yeah,
I mean, it's a good way to put it. Peyton's obviously the head of our snake, if you want to call it that, and she's just so consistent. I mean, every day, and it's part of what I talked about before. She's very routine, but it is every Monday, right? We'll be sitting in the office. She'll fill out her form and evaluate herself and watch her. She's so locked in. The last 3 games, I clip her film always. And the last 3 games, we had exactly 34 clips. She was like, that's 3 games in a row. I'm like, no, it's not 3 games in a row. She's like, that's 3 games in a row with 34 clips. And sure enough, I went back to each game. It was 34 clips. But that's how her brain works. So I think with that as your example, right, it only makes you better, right? She's unselfish. She's an extreme competitor. She works extremely hard. She communicates, right? So if I'm anybody, Angela, Jamia, Anna, Susha, and I'm looking at that example daily, yeah, I think that makes you better. But it's also everybody, right? I think that we've had a really genuine buy-in from our team to sacrifice and play unselfishly. And so use somebody like Jamia, right? Jamia is definitely, like, I'm watching her sacrifice on a daily basis, where I know she wants to shoot more. I know she wants to play more, right? And she's sacrificing for the better of this team because she's got to share, right? Zakiya, I know, has bigger hopes and dreams than what I'm asking her to do right now, which is be a really, really good point guard, right? Really, really good point guard, distribute, find Peyton, Susha, right? You got all these weapons. It probably won't be a role forever, but right, she's sacrificing. Rose Scott's come off the bench all year long. That's a sacrifice. It's something I know she didn't want to do, right? So I think overall, that's what I'm kind of most proud at our team, is that we are here because of those sacrifices and that unselfishness in the end. And I do think it starts with Peyton, but Peyton could be over there by herself, right? Everybody deserves the credit for that buy-in and those sacrifices.
Yeah, Bree Robbins shot to 43% from three in conference play. Talk about what that's done, or maybe an extra element that's added.
It's awesome. And I really, she deserves a lot of credit, because we started the year and she's coming off an experience at Michigan State where it wasn't a good one for her with her coaching staff, right? And she comes in and her feet, like, she's a European player, not European, foreign player. So, Team Canada, they do a lot of different footwork. They do a lot of right foot and off a two, and I'm a big left foot down guy. That's like, and so she's all over the place. And I asked her to left foot down, and I was adamant, right? And to the point where she could have been like, man, this guy is just trying to hold me down, right? He's trying to limit my game. And she's really bought into that, and I think it's really made her consistent because it simplifies it for her. She's got to catch that thing left foot down, and I think it's really helped her rhythm. I think she's slowed down a lot. I think she really believes and is listening and is I'm looking for a word here. That's usually where you help me, Corey. Anyway, I think she's understanding the confidence I have in her too, and I think that's calming her down. But she deserves all the credit for the work put in for that, because she's another one. She's not afraid to work. She's in here getting extra shots, extra film all the time, and you can really watch her progression, right, from their first 10 games, 12 games to now. I mean, it's massive how much she's gotten better.
And go back to the idea of regular season championships a little bit. Obviously, when you win one, things aren't over for you. And you talked about, maybe not enjoying it as much as Ian or some other people. Does it change for you at all, like when you look back on it, maybe in the middle of the summer or something? Like, obviously, you've won 80% of your conference games. You won a lot of regular season championships. Does the accomplishment ever mean anything different for you when you kind of step back from this point now where you got to turn around and get ready for more games?
Honestly, I wish I could say yes. It just doesn't. Like one of my thoughts, right, is like, it's great, right? We did this. We're undefeated. Like, you got to make sure, like you got to make sure you finish this thing the right way, right? Or what is it? Right? It's a successful year, sure. It's like, right, you're winning way more than you're losing. It's a successful year, but like in the end, we gotta make sure we're playing the right way all the way through the finish, because that's what the goal is, right? The goal was never, hey, we're gonna win the regular season and that's our goal, right? No, let's go to the NCAA tournament. Winning games and winning the regular season, sure, it helps us, right? And it's I mean, I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, I think you're locked into the WBIT, right? If you don't win the tournament, I don't know. I think that's the way it is. That's not what we're trying to do here. Yeah, okay. But no, I think it's a good thing. It just doesn't get me like that. Even in June, right? In June, I'll be like, man, we were good. I know we were good. Like, I know we're a good team. I want us, like, I think part of my job is to maximize that, right, and not let anything get in the way of that. And so I wish I could feed that a little bit more. It's just not. It's just how I'm built. I don't know why, right? I don't know why. Maybe it's, I don't even think. And Kurt, maybe you can give me on this, but like, I don't think when we won our first one in 2010 or 2011, I don't even think they honored a regular season champion, right? And like, So there wasn't a trophy. Like when we go to our trophy case in 2010 and 11, there's one trophy, and it's because we won the conference tournament. And so I think maybe my upbringing, right, like with Kenny and doing, I don't really know why I feel that way. That's just how I feel. And it's like, yeah, I want the conference tournament and I want to go to the NCAA tournament, and then I'll be very pleased with that, Shane. I'll be very, very happy with that. There you go. Oh, Kurt.
This isn't a real, flashy question here, but when you talked about left foot down, it gets into the details of the game. And as a coach, when you started into this and as you've gone through the decades now that you've been involved in this, where do you pick up those little details? How did you make that part of your coaching acumen, if you would?
That's a good question. You said decades. It freaked me out a little bit. No, I think over time, right, with different experiences, and left foot down is a Kenny Brooks taught fundamental. And so, I think the majority of my learning is from him, period, right? And, you can pick up things here and there from others, right? And I just think my days at Evansville for sure, right? Because, again, we weren't a great team. We're a 500-ish team, and we tried a lot of different stuff. So it really does help me when you want to put in a 1-3-1 zone. We did it at Evansville. We didn't do it as much with Kenny. Kenny was more he had the system right. We did it consistently over and over, and left foot down was it. But I give him a lot of credit. I mean, I remember we were on our way to Cancun one year, and I know I'm going off, but it's fine. We were on our way to Cancun one year, and I was reading a Sports Illustrated article about the evolution of the NBA. And at that time, he was always a denial coach, and we were a denial team. And it was just it was a great article about, like, it was all post players, and now it's all this, and it's all, like, it just kept moving on. And we were getting ready to play Green Bay out there, who was a pack line team. And they were obviously really good. They always are. And we go out there, we beat them 89-86. And we come back, and he's like, I think we're going to put in a pack line. This is December. And he's like, we're going to put in the pack line defense. And I'm like, wait a second. No, like, what are you talking about, man? We're like, you're not changing your man defense in December. And he was like, no, we're doing it. And I remember we ended up losing the next two games. We lost to Liberty at home and Richmond at home because we were switching from pack line to deny. And it was like the kids didn't know, but we ended up winning a championship that year because it was one of those ones where it was like, no, that was the right thing to do, and he was evolving. Instead of, I think this was around the time they started calling all those hand checks, where it's like any time you put a hand on somebody, it started being a hand check. So my point in saying all that is, like, maybe there'll be, in 5 more years, maybe somebody convinces me right foot down is better, right? And I'm willing to change, like, just like he was willing to change. But in my experience, I think it really settles shooters. He was one that, like, and Peyton does it, but he was so against the hop into a jump shot because you're jumping before you jump. And it was like, I can't get a good second jump. And so that was something I remember to this day that he taught me. But thank God, because it's helped Bree Robinson. But I think there's a lot of things like that, majority of which is Kenny'd be responsible for. But Steve Murfeld, Jason Zimmerman, Kareem Richardson, those guys at Evansville were awesome. And then, I think you learn stuff from assistants sometimes too. But yeah. you got to.
Coach, you talk about Coach Hill having those adjustments for the second game. What are you expecting from Georgia State?
Just something. And I don't know what, and I'm sure we'll sit here. We talk usually after this as a staff. I'm sure we'll have some theories, but you're never going to know, right? You're never going to know until it's the first 5 minutes of the game. So you can theorize, but yeah, I don't know. I assume he's going to have to do something different on the glass. Like that was a huge advantage for us. So yeah, I would assume, but they start a small lineup. They start those 4 guards together, and I don't know if what we'll do if we keep the same matchups. So we had Ashanti Barnes on Tolliver to start. I thought that was a different one. It was kind of a different idea. So we're diving into it as a staff in 5 minutes or less. But I don't know. I know he'll have something because he's clearly been good at it, right? And so to come back around, beat Coastal the second time, beat ODU, and that's such a weird back-to-back. You know, and even the Georgia Southern thing is crazy to me. I mean, you lose by 25 at home and then come back and beat them. So I know he's tired of hearing me say it, but I got a lot of respect for Gene Hill, and I think he's a really good coach. And I think his record doesn't always show that, but he's got the best of me quite a bit. So